welcome to the final night of Frames Representation Film Festival. First of all, thank you so much for being so brave and being here on such a beautiful night. My name is Nico Marzano, I'm the festival curator, and it's my pleasure to introduce the closing night screening of Present.Perfect by Shengze Zhu. I would like just to offer a few words before we dive into this beautiful work. The festival, across 9 days, presented 18 works. The idea really at core of this edition was to challenge and question what representation might stand for through a variety of cinematic languages. I hope, and of course I would love to share with you also afterwards through our conversation, through the party, that a few things emerged. Definitely, I like to think of through the films that we saw that representation might be an act of, can be seen and perceived as an act of transparency, as an act of sharing, enabling, rather than an act of ownership. We had also a beautiful symposium this morning about deframing, decolonization, that was addressing these themes. The film that we're about to see, Present.Perfect, is definitely a film that talks about representation, where people decide to represent themselves through social platforms, live streaming, as a form of sociality, but also as a form of understanding the perception of ourselves. Before welcoming Shengze Zhu here to say a few words, I would like to thank Chase, who is our academic partner and main supporter of this festival, Mubi, with whom we are arranging tonight's presentation, and we are sharing also the party. So I think at this stage you all have a token in your hands, so I hope to see you upstairs for a celebratory toast afterwards. And please allow me to say a big thank you to Nicolas Raffin and Raquel Moraes, who are part of our beautiful and strong cinema team, and to Benjamin Pollock and Aaron Santry, who are PhD researchers and helped us to research and to deliver this festival this year. I hope to see you next year. I hope that we are forming every year a strong community. And please now join me in welcoming Shengze Zhu.
Thank you very much for coming to watch the film, and thank you very much, Nico, for selecting the film. It's my great pleasure to have the UK premiere here at the Frames of Representation. So how should I introduce the film? Because I always say it's not a found footage film at the beginning, but people still say it's a found footage film after they watch it. But the reason that why I don't consider this film as found footage is because the way that I made it was quite different than the other found footage film. Because what I was confronted was not an archive, and it was not a collection of streaming footage out there on internet. So there are fleeting moments because the found footage, the streaming footage are not stored on internet. So if I miss a show, I miss it forever. So that's why I say it's not a found footage. But now actually after I made this film, and after the film, showed at some festivals, I realized that it maybe indeed it's a found footage film in a way. Not just because people say that, it's because many anchors, the streaming hosts in the film, they stopped live streaming. And also there's one platform that I used to watch. It was shut down because of economic reasons. So the film somehow becomes an archive and a found footage film. Anyway, I hope you will enjoy it. Yeah.
Hello, welcome back. Please welcome Shengze Zhu. There are so many things to say. Thank you for this very interesting work. As per usual, I will just ask 3-4 questions myself, then we will open up, and then we will continue this conversation. This film clearly speaks to different, streams of ideas. Through these anchors, we talk about sociality, self-identity, and a relationship with celebrity. I was wondering, while also now rewatching the film, if these were themes that emerged for you through looking at the footage, or it's something like that you had planned in your research that you want to look at these chapters of contemporary China?
Yes, so I would say the shape of the film comes to my mind probably in the 5th month after I watched the shows. So because I was not familiar with live streaming before I made this film, I had never watched the show. So at the beginning, I wanted to make a film that of course, I knew the idea that I want to make a film that would be solely composed of streaming footage at the very beginning, but I didn't know that there are so many people, like the anchors in my film, who use live streaming just simply to get connected with other people. Because at the beginning, the shows that I watched, most of them, they are like dancing, singing, playing games, or sexy pretty girls who are doing different things. So it's more like it's very entertaining. So and there's internet celebrities. So it's like gradually I found out that there's a relatively small group of people who just try to find a companionship in the cyberspace instead of want to be famous or earn money.
And thinking also at the title, no, Present.Perfect, in a way you modify, no, the ending use of live streaming that would be done and consumed in the now. Did you record all these and then you use them for the film, or this was something that you already found recorded,
You mean the ending?
the live streaming in general? It's something that you recorded yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so everything is recorded by myself on my computer, and also I watch the process is I edit and I record it simultaneously. So the editing and the shooting of the film took place at the same time in a way, and also at first I thought that maybe I should hire someone like an assistant who can help me, because there are thousands of shows over there and maybe hundreds of thousands of people that are doing live streaming. It's just huge. But later I realized that way it won't work, because I have to watch the show by myself. Because when I watch it, I have to choose the moment, and also I have to choose whom I watch. Whose show should I watch at the moment? And that was already the first editing.
Yeah, it's interesting, this alteration of temporality, no? Because live streaming is intended for being consumed in the now, instead with this. In terms of the structure, from a storytelling point of view, you kind of reframe the whole thing, because we never read or hear the questions from the users, but we can only decipher, retrieve, feel through the answers of the anchors. This reframing was something did you ever consider to also include the text, or if you can?
I thought maybe for one clip, one scene or two, I wanted to include the text, but later on I decided not to. So, but for me, this kind of reframing or deframing, it's not just for this film, but also for for me, it's just something about for documentary, because for documentary or nonfiction, there must be something real, like a real person or real time or real event, but because there is the maker who wants to make this film and say something that he or she wants to say, so it's already a constructed representation of that reality. So for me, I wanted to change it to black and white, and I intentionally avoid using camera person. So those just methods or practice that I use to construct this representation of live streaming.
And you're speaking of representation, but in a way, most of the characters of the anchors that we see, they go beyond representation, because there is an element of communication. Some of them, almost like traders, are trying to sell something. It's either an idea of companionship, or simply, especially at the beginning of the film, we realize that some of them also have a relationship with an idea of making money out of this. So I was wondering if this relationship between representation and communication was something that for you was also part of your process, like, while thinking of this.
Yes, especially the communication or interaction that between the anchors and their viewers, and also I was one of the viewers, was very intriguing to me. So that's like the most unique feature of live streaming of this medium, which distinguish it from other like archive or YouTube video or YouTube channel. I was very into it, and I wanted to show it in the film. Although I deliberately turn off the tags, but for me, because I think this way you can still understand what's going on, like the communication. You don't have to read the text, and also for me it's like this way, like an audience like you in the theater, you become like somehow to that group of people, like the viewers who are watching the shows at home. So.
And you were saying before that, I know that you worked on over 800 hours of footage. Could you tell us a bit the idea of the chapters? Why did you use them, and what the relationship with the editing as well?
Because there is no protagonist of the film. Of course, there are several, like 6 anchors that I've focused on, but it's not like there's a leading character that you can follow throughout the film. And also there's no plot, no story. Or of course there's a narrative, but so which means what I thought was, like, if I don't make it into chapters, then the audience would easily get lost somehow for a 2-hour or 1.5-hour film. So that's why I use like chapters, but I didn't give them titles. So I try to leave it as open as possible, but just use the chapter to to give the film a certain structure. Yeah.
Of course, an important aspect of this film is also representation of disability. And now some of the anchors, perhaps through their online life, can create a sociality that otherwise they perhaps would struggle to. Questions are 2 here. One, how did you identify, like, these people, and if you are still in touch with these people, if you talk to them and about the way that you were going to use them in the film?
So I just met them, like I found them online. Like I didn't use like any kind of keywords, or also there was no way for me to use the keywords to find them. I just because I spent like a huge amount of time like watching the shows, like looking for people or characters that I want to that I'm interested in. So I just found them there in while they were doing live streaming. And for me, at first I was very like shocked, and also because for me personally, I think live streaming is a very embarrassing thing for me, because I can't talk to a screen for hours, and I don't want to share those personal, intimate moments of my life with strangers that I probably will never meet in the actual world. I don't see the point why they want to do it. But then there is the anchor. He told to the audience while he was live streaming. He said, like, because you know what? Because the audience questioned him, like, so since you can talk to us like this, why you said you have problem talking to other people in your real life? And he said, no, for me it's much easier to talk to a screen because I don't see your face. Because in real life nobody wants to talk to me, and I was scared to talk to other people. So that probably was like one of the moment that I really wanted to like I had a clear idea about what this film should be, because although I didn't tell the anchors when I was recording the footage, so because I didn't want to interrupt their performance, but I did contact them afterwards, and I asked for their permission of using their footage in the film, as long as I can still find them, because as I said at the beginning, many of them they stopped doing it because nobody watched their shows. At the first, probably the first month or the second month, they have like hundreds or thousands of people watching the show, but after people know, okay, so you're a disabled person there, and you are not doing anything interesting to me, then people just stop watching it, and then gradually those anchors feel, okay, so why I'm doing it, then they stopped.
So there is also there clearly a relationship with the solitude that they were trying to escape, and you're saying that through live streaming, some of them did not find an answer because of their
solitude, exactly, and also like in this digital connected world, like everybody is like we feel we are closely connected with other people, but at the meantime, there's a very strong sense of isolation or alienation, especially for these people in my film, like because they are like just live on the margin of the society, both like economically and of course emotionally. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also like a sort of mirror, like act in here, no? Because they are producing an image that is yes for like the users, but it's also for themselves because they see themselves, we see them. So, is there any question from the audience? One there, at the very.
Thank you. Just a bit more about the consent thing, because so I was interested in you. So you said you contacted them afterwards. I mean, did you get refusals, and did you just get no replies? And what did you do about no replies?
For no replies, I guess I'm pretty sure they saw the message actually, but I just constantly, like I wrote them several times, but actually most people, they did reply, and then they, majority of them, they were very open to the idea because it was them who decided to put to turn the camera to themselves and share their lives with other people. So they are very open to the idea. But for the other people, yeah, there was one person who was reluctant to let me show his footage in the film. But I just talked to him for a very long time, like try to persuade him. Yeah. Yeah, I did. Yeah, because for him it's like so I told him. So he was the one who said, "So do we still have friends nowadays?" Yes, but rare. The guy with like very tiny hands and feet. So I told him that why I wanted to include his clip, especially that clip, because I think it really tells something about friendship or companionship in today's world. So I told him that, and he was very surprised that I still remember and I like that part of his show. So he said, "Okay," at the end.
Before coming back to you, I was now thinking about what you were saying about that after a while, if views go down, the anchors stop streaming.
Right.
So it feels as some of them, their primary reason was just for a relationship with the fame, with celebrity, with the side of getting like out there on big numbers. Did you find these or?
I guess at the beginning, because all of them probably heard, those successful stories of those internet celebrities. So that's probably one of the reasons that they decided to share their personal life with other people, not just to find someone to talk to, but also, of course, they want to be that little star of their own world. But just, maybe at the beginning, yes, but later on, no.
Are there any more questions? We have one there, and then we go at the back. Thank you.
Someone over there as well.
Thanks. I really loved the documentary. I was wondering, this format in terms of showing clips from their actual shows, from their live streaming, were you ever tempted to kind of interview these people yourself to kind of figure out or learn more about them away from their own broadcasting?
No, I never think about like interviewing them because I guess their shows or already tell a lot about them, and also the interaction between them and their audience, kind of like serve with the idea of interview, because their audience keep asking them questions throughout the shows, so they already get a lot of questions, and I don't think I need to ask more. Yeah.
There was something at the back.
Thanks. Amazing film, thank you. You've talked a little bit about people's motivations for doing it, obviously connecting and some celebrity, etc. I'm wondering about some of them maybe are potentially motivated by earning extra income. So the credit, and obviously there's a lot of people asking the same questions over and over again, sort of what province are you from, etc., how tall are you? I'm wondering how much extra supplementary income can you actually make? How much is a tiger credit?
Like 1 RMB or something, so it's very little actually. So for those internet celebrities who have, hundreds of thousands of fans, they can earn a lot of money. And I read from some article from press, like some of them can even earn millions in a month. But for those people in my film, there's only 1 or 2% that really earn money by doing it. The others, I don't think so. Like the guy who was reluctant to let me show his clip at first, he told me that's not tiger coin but like a fish coin, because it's another platform. It was like just $1, 1 RMB, so 1 Chinese yuan. So, and he probably can earn a little bit, but of course it can help him a little bit, but it's not like a huge amount of money that really solves his problem.
Any more questions?
But
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but they are also like very expensive gifts though, like rockets or planes. But normally people would not send those gifts to the anchors.
We wonder.
Hi, I've got more of a technical question for you, and it's to do with the images and the sound. I was wondering how you dealt with the sort of variations in quality of the image between the different streamers or anchors. And also to do with the sound, I was wondering how much of the sound design was in post-production and how much was sort of captured from those streams as well.
For the image, so at first, actually, I really like the different texture or different tones, contrast of each, different footage, because I think it somehow shows who is the anchor behind the screen, because those anchor who has money, they can afford to buy the most expensive device, like an iPhone, or with very fancy Steadicam. So their footage is in very good quality. But the other anchors, like most of anchors in my films, they don't have the money to buy those equipment, so they use very old smartphone and probably handheld. So at first I really wanted to show that, but then I realized it can be a interruption or distraction for audience. So at the end, I decided to turn all the image into black and white to keep a certain consistency. But also another reason, a very important reason, is that I found out like black and white is not what you see in both your real life and on internet. So which means it gives the film its own subjectivity, which I like this part, so I kept it as black and white. As for sound, I actually did a lot of editing, because especially when you don't see the anchors, if they are not talking, so I did a lot of editing. So for the first chapter of the film, I actually did quite some, like I would say half of the sound was composed in the post, designed, but for the other parts, it's more like they just take sound, yeah.
Did you shoot the film in China by any chance, or editing?
I shot the film in Chicago, edited in Chicago, and I did a post in Paris. And at that time, I didn't meet the sound engineer and the colorist of the film. So I always say this is a film made through long distance. Yeah, it's a long distance film.
It'll be interesting to see when you will show it in China.
Show it in China?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know because there are so many reasons involved in showing a film in China. So I have no idea whether the film will be shown in China.
And why do you think? Because the government might have some problem with some of the representation, or?
Actually, I don't know because all the footage in the film is either censored or self-censored. Because for live streaming, each room there's a manager or something like a censor who just monitor what the anchors like what the show is, and then there's regulations and the rules that clearly tells the anchors what they can do and what they cannot do. So the shows are already censored or self-censored. So as you can see in the film, it's not like a very sensitive film, but just the thing with Chinese government the film thing in China is a little bit complicated.
Any more question for Shengze Zhu? Yep, we have one there.
Hi, thank you for the film. I really enjoyed watching it. I was wondering what was the choice behind, because you said you watched a lot, and there's a lot of content. How do you decide which bits to choose?
The criteria of my selection of the footage?
Yeah, I suppose. Maybe were there things that you just liked and you just wanted them to be in the final cut, or were there specific criteria that you used?
Yeah, because I watched a lot of shows, so it was a very difficult and a very long process for me to do the selection. But for me, I guess the most important criteria, if there's one, then it should be the personality of the anchors. Like they have to. There are people that I really like and I admire. There are people who not just try to entertain the audience, but also want to share with other people. Want to tell their stories with other people. So for me, there's something very intimate and also something very touching for me. So I would say that's probably the criteria.
Any more questions? Do something, yeah? We will come to you with the mic. Thank you.
In terms of ethics, could you say something about the psychological dimensions of the film? I mean, I kind of was quite sensitive to the maybe the disturbing aspects of processing information to an unknown viewer. As they were telling their stories, there was a lot of laughter, but like not haha, but a kind of with lots of undertones and almost to the point of maybe would be identified in another culture's crises or at the border of crises or yeah.
I understand the film can be very disturbing in a way, and also I understand that at the beginning you probably thought this film would be very funny or very light film because like the first chapter is very just it's okay, but I mean your experience was it's just my experience, because when I first started watching the show, when I first encountered those people, especially those with physical disabilities, I never expect that I would saw someone doing it like this, like online, and I was like astounded in a way, and then I became like very curious, and I wanted to know why people like them, they have the courage to do it, and why in real life, in the actual world surround me, I never encounter any this kind of people. I mean, what so what makes them, to decided to, turn on the camera, and why they try to hide them in the actual world. So those are, I have a series of these kind of questions. So that's, and I also had a very disturbing experience as well when I was, watching the shows and editing the film. So for me, this film that now I'm showing here in theater is like in a way it resembles my personal experience, like watching or getting, diving into this live streaming world. Because although I heard a lot of things about live streaming before I made this film, and I occasionally saw some clips online, on social media, but none of my friends or family, like none of those people around me, they do live streaming. So there's like this kind of segregation or gap, like something like divided those people who are doing live streaming and then people who are not doing live streaming. And also because many anchors, they try to entertain the audience, like they do very bizarre, wild, extreme activities by doing live streaming. So the other people, they just condemn them, like always, like to say this footage, the shows are very bad, and so there's this kind of like division, at least in my opinion. So, and I wanted to show that as well. Yeah.
Okay. We have another question here.
So I had a question about your previous work, also Another Year. How do you think the difference between your previous work, Another Year, and this one? Because although I feel some similarity, like you set a camera in Another Year, like your observer or observation perspective, and this film I can also feel this touch. But I think there is something different, because in your previous film you said you were familiar with the family, but this one you're more like a stranger to them. So how do you think the difference between two works? Thanks.
Yeah, they are similar, but they are also different. Of course, the form is very different. The way I make it is very different. But because you just said like I was a stranger to these people. Of course, I'm a stranger to them because some of them, they know my real name, but if they ask, and then but we chatted a lot, and we spent lots of time together, but only in the cyberspace. Maybe I spend more time with them than with the family in my previous film, because for that film, so it's like 13 dinners of a 3-generation Chinese family, and I shot like each dinner is from 1 month, so I follow them throughout the year. So actually, every month I only spend 2 days, 6 days or to 8 days with them. But for this film, I really spent lots of time with them, watching the shows and trying to, talking to them, but only online. So for me, it's a very, very different experience, because I keep asking myself, like, do I really know them after I, just watch them doing different things for, 10 months? But after I turn off my laptop, or if I deleted my account, then they would never find me, and I cannot. And if they delete their account, I cannot find them. So, but do we still know each other? Do we still, share that, experience together? So those are questions that are very interesting to me, and yeah.
Thanks for posing these questions, please. Yeah.
So my question is, do the people that you were filming, do they know the main premise of the film, this I need to feel connection, like, or are they aware that this is the main message that you will be trying to convey through the film?
Yes, they knew. So I told them that I wanted to tell how friendship is transformed in this, digitally connected world by technology and the internet. If them ask, because actually some of them, they really, like, surprisingly, they didn't care. Like, they was like, okay, yeah, of course you can use the footage. They are very, very open because, as I said, it's them who decided to, turn on the camera, and they know that they are being watched, like, constantly while doing the show. So before they turn on the camera, they already made the decision, and they, right. Yeah, of course it's transformed, but of course the film is like a constructed, representation of them. So that's why, yeah. So, but I hope it's not a distorted one. Yeah.
So you're saying there was a level of surveillance that they embraced and accepted when they start with this live streaming.
For them, I would not use the word surveillance because it's not like those surveillance cameras in China that you can find in every corner. It's that's like surveillance, and like Dragonfly Eyes, that's surveillance footage, of course. But for this film, I would think it's more about the interaction. So although they know they are being watched, but they are also like, they just keep interacting with the audience, and the audience can tell them, no, please move your camera to the left, I want to see that. Oh, can you tell me more about where are you from? What do you eat tonight? Can you eat fish tonight? Because I want to see that you eat fish. So so it's more about the interaction. Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go back here for perhaps the last question.
You just reminded me of that left and right. Now, the guy with the burns, he was referring to the left when it was his right, unless we were looking at a mirror. And I was puzzled. I was just puzzled by that as to what did he consistent? Were you just translating his consistently getting it wrong? And the other question was, did you have a relationship with the platform? I mean, did you need or try to get their consent?
Yeah, I will answer the second one first because I was not sure. I'm not sure about the first one, the question. So I don't have a relationship or partnership with the platforms because at first I thought maybe I should approach them because I thought they own the copyright. But after I read their regulations on published it on their websites, I realized because they don't want to take any responsibility of the shows of what's being broadcasted. So they claim they don't own the copyright of the footage. So that's why I don't have a partnership with them. I don't contact them as well. Yeah. And can you elaborate on the first question a little bit more?
Well, the guy with the burns kept talking about his left ear when he was holding his right ear, and I just wondered what was going on there. Or was there a reversal in all the footage?
Oh, you mean the reverse of the... Yes. Yeah, because there's a function. It's like you can reverse the left and the right by doing live streaming. And I don't know why, like actually many of them want to do that when, live streaming. So he did it, not me. Oh. So he reversed it, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, please join me in thanking Shengze Zhu.
Thank you.